Hey guys, welcome to Beyond Bricks. I am your host, Kevin Stewart, and today I get to talk about something that's very near and dear to my everyday life, and that's construction. A little bit about housing and about the joy of building your dream home. So today I am joined by a good friend of mine from HAUS Custom Homes, my buddy Trevor. He is in here, and we're going to have an awesome conversation about life, about growth, about new opportunities and new ideas, and about the new wave of what we're seeing in construction. So this is going to be a fun one. I'm excited to. So Trevor, welcome to the show. It's super exciting for this.
I know we've been talking about podcasts for a long time, and the timing just was never right. But I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, I'm super excited about this too, because what people don't know is we don't just do business together. We're starting to do life together.
Honestly, it's one and the same. You know, at the end of the day, you have to live and breathe what you do, and I mean, then the work just falls into place.
And you're one of those people that I found very quickly, like myself, is super passionate about what they do for a living, right? I love the opportunity to sell real estate. I love doing it. I love running a company. I love working with my team. I love working with our customers, and going through that process is super fun. And I believe that a lot of the reason that we've gravitated very quickly in our friendship is that you guys are the exact same way. The way you run your company and the way that HAUS Custom Homes runs their process is that same feel. It's that family feel, right?
I feel like it needs to be like in housing, because not only is like house building probably one of the most stressful things that you could possibly do, but it's also one of the most like intimate and connected, and you know, you're married to that person for a year plus, and you're dealing with, you know, the biggest investment most people make in their life.
At least a year, and that's if everything goes right.
I think what's missing in this industry is hospitality, and I think that's where we come in. You know, you should feel like, you know, you're cared about, and like you have that hand holding and that white glove experience, and you know, dollar doesn't really matter. It's all about the experience and the end of the road.
And so many people in this industry, and I've worked with a lot of people who built a lot of houses over my 20-year career, and I have seen some really good and I've seen some really bad stories. And as I tend to, and anyone that watches this show knows, I occasionally laugh at my industry because of some of the just absolute ridiculous nuances of my industry.
We'll hear the stories.
So we've all heard the stories. In fact, anybody watching has probably experienced one or two of them, just not as many as me and you have. But your industry is very much the same. Not all builders are created equal, right? We understand that as well.
No.
And you guys have found a way to set yourself very much apart. So before we go too much into the process of what makes you guys better, I'm just going to say it, better than everybody.
Appreciate it.
Let's get into the what got you here. I want to back up the train a little bit and say, you know, what's Trevor's story? What's your partner's stories? Because there's three of you, right?
Yeah.
There's three of you as partners inside the company. So I want you to back up and tell us a little bit about what got you to this point, what's your background, and what got you to this place.
So me personally, what got me into this was a passion for design, and really a passion just for taking things apart and putting them back together. Like I was the kid who would take apart the remote and sometimes put it back together.
Sometimes you
So that got better as I got older. But you know, a few remotes later, I got it down. So, you know, as I got older and older, I mean, Legos turned into tree forts turned into, you know, finishing my parents' basement, and I mean, it just all took off from there. But I found architecture really at an early age. I started my first architecture class in freshman year of high school, and
Wow.
was at my first firm by junior year, and it was just trial by fire. I mean, I went in there with a basic knowledge of like how to draw in CAD, and I was just thrown in. Like the first day was the first house, and
That's cool.
I'll remember the house forever, because I sat down and I'm like, wow.
Holy cow, I'm about to
Like,
design
all right,
someone's home.
oh
boy.
Like it's time to go.
Yep.
So, you know, and I had a really good mentor at the time, and he just taught me everything that he had, you know, learned over 30 years of doing it. And I have that old school kind of design mentality and that very like artistic flair to architecture. And that just kind of has evolved throughout, you know, the 10 or so years that we've been doing this. And very shortly after, you know, I took a year or so off. I started back at Lawrence Tech, and, you know, second semester of first year, I met my business partner, Vince. Vince's background's, a bit different than mine. He grew up in restaurants and very service-based kind of mentality.
Yep.
Hugely strong work ethic. From the time he was 8 years old on a stool running a cash register.
Jeez.
Just was instilled that you got to work for what you have. And, that kind of service base is the core of our company. So you can't have design without people, and you can't have people without service. So me and Vince, at this point are pretty much, I would say, carbon copies of each other. Though I'm a little bit more macro thought, big picture kind of guy, I think Vince is the, complete opposite of me.
Mm-hmm.
He's very micro, he's very day to day, in the weeds of what we do every day. And you can't have one without the other.
Well, you have to, any good company has a great balance in leadership, right? And what you're talking about is balance of leadership,
Right. Of having two individuals that have the same goal and same theme of where they want to go, but have different skills and ways of getting there. And that's when a ship can go in the right direction, go very quickly. And you guys do a very good job of that, of understanding and knowing your roles and responsibilities, and also challenging. I've watched you guys challenge each other and challenge each other's thinking to therefore create the best process and product, right? So, so you're going along the way. You're in design. You're in architecture. And what took you from being like, okay, I want to be sitting at a drawing board, to I want to be customer forward facing, and then get into the idea of, let's actually start building these things
A little bit of
ourselves.
ADD.
Yeah, how does that, where does that shift? Because there's a lot of people out there. We have a lot of very skilled, very well awarded architects in this area, right? In the Metro Detroit area, we have a couple
loaded
of
market.
great loaded up with architects, but you don't see a lot of them that shift from just wanting to be at the drawing board to wanting to be out with the customer building the house.
There's a couple out there, but there's only a few that really do it right. And those guys are role models, and a lot of them are older in the industry, and when they take off, there's no one really to take over what they're leaving behind. So it's kind of left up to the newest generation, and that's us, with some people who are younger than us and a few people that are older than us, and it's just combining and trying to do something that's modern day, but still has an eye for the classic. So,
and then blending that. So this is the other piece that I think about, and as we've talked and got to know each other, and I've learned some of your story, it's not just the idea of getting out from behind the drawing board. It's getting out in front, leading the company and owning the company. That's a very different thing, right? You are now out there on your own doing it. You're not having somebody that's just constantly bringing you business. You got to go find it.
And it's been that way really since the start. Early on, I'd say the first half of our business was a lot of architecture. I think at our peak we did 65 jobs between me and Vince, and that was just wild. We did everything from little house additions to industrial buildings and everything in between. A ton of franchise work, some out of state stuff, and it was just like we were in the thick of it. You didn't have a chance to really think about it, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And everything stood still, especially in our state we were shut down. So we had a month where if you were caught out doing anything work-wise, you were just short of slapped and sent home.
Yeah.
So we had a chance to rebrand and to really think about what did the last 5 years do for us? What did we take away that was positive? What did we take away that was negative? What could we do to build upon that and to keep moving? So I'll preface this by saying, during those first 5 years, we were building, but it was a small amount.
Yeah.
It was a job here or there. Maybe once a year we do a house. And we decided, during COVID, we were going to flip that. And we needed to, instead of getting build jobs through architecture, we needed to get architecture through builds.
Ooh, interesting. So you flipped your business model.
That flip-flop, I think, is really why we're experiencing the growth that we are. And it allowed us to kind of expand and to bring, really the best at what they do into each of our roles. And that's something that we're doing every day, and something that we're really looking to in the next year.
I can see I love hearing that because the amount of people that I've had, not just on this show, but just in my day-to-day life conversations, that shifted their business model in the middle of COVID, right? We all can look back on it, and I mean, I still to this day at times, I was like, as much as it frustrated me, let me preface this with, I am a people person. I need to be out
Right.
about, like, you know me, like, I'm that dude that will call you and be like, let's have a
We're very
drink,
similar.
and then 7 hours later, we're figuring out how to get home, right? Like, that's kind of how we roll. But then
Plead the fifth.
plead the fifth. I say nothing. So, but so COVID was tough for me because I was sitting back at home and I was just dying to get out and be around people. Like, that was tough for me. But then I also take a look back and say, man, the things that COVID did for me, because it created that forced pause, right? So there was a forced pause that was put inside your company where you were able to sit back and not be working in the business, but start working on the business. And what I'm hearing is you went in and said, okay, the long term of this is we need to shift. And I like to say it again. I don't know if you can say it again, but the way you said it of letting the houses bring you the architectural.
It was
business.
always, architecture was the vessel to the build.
Yeah.
If you design it and you build a relationship, then I mean, it's mindless. They should come right to you for the build.
Yeah.
But it just ends up that you don't really get to vet the client as a build client. You're talking about design, and you have to work through all of that with them. And sometimes it ends up that, what their dream house isn't quite reality. And having those build conversations up front solves that problem. So flip-flopping
yes.
that, interviewing clients as a build client, and then bringing in architecture as an added service shows them, number one, they could be confident because there's no middleman. There's no loss of communication between us and a designer. It's one conversation the whole way through.
And that's a big thing that anyone who's out there thinking about building a custom home, right? Because you guys are custom homes, right? You're not building specs, right?
Yeah, honestly, and there's a lot of builders out there that claim to be custom, but it's still a package base and options, and
They have 9
standard
floor plans,
checklist. Right. So everything that we do is a blank sheet of paper at the start.
Yeah.
We don't have a spec list. I mean, we can put a standard set in front of you just so you can get some ideas, but that spec list is built around you. Some people are really into, the fashion lighting fixtures. You might want to spend $100,000 on lights. So we've had clients do it. Other people are like, they're just lights.
Yeah.
But I really want, that hardware. I want the slabs. I want that, super organic, veiny marble. Like, that's where they want to spend their money. And I just found that trying to shoehorn everybody into one specific set of specs is kind of a disservice, and you can't really say you're custom.
Correct.
Building that spec list around that client as an individual, that's custom.
Oh, yeah. And taking the time to listen and go through that process from beginning to end. And I've seen it on my side of the table when someone will sit with an architect, they'll design a house, then we take that to 3 different builders and they look at that. And how quickly does the buyer go, or the customer go, wait, that's going to cost what?
And that's why
because the designer's
design's
not
built
looking
to
at it
build.
that way. Yeah. They don't.
It's just there's so
neat
much
pieces
of a
of paper.
disconnect. I mean, you could design a beautiful house, but if you're not looking at it through the scrutinizing eye of a supplier, of a builder, of the guy who's actually out there swinging the hammers, there's so much that can get lost. And when we were doing it our original way, we weren't really talking budget in the beginning. You'd have a loose number, and I'll be honest, we hit it most of the time, but still more than half of our houses were never built.
Yep.
And it's just, external stimuli. You don't get the right builder, or prices are just all over the board. You don't know the right guy to go with. And by doing it all as one, streamlined process, we can have those hard talks all the way through the planning.
Yeah.
So, I always tell people, we could be the budget police if you need us to be. We'll always, suggest to you an area where you could save money, and we'll always suggest where you could spend money.
Yeah.
We're a builder.
You're a builder. You know how to spend money.
We want to give you, the best of what this can be. And, there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of things that are coming to market. I mean, just as much as tech is growing everywhere else, like tech in the home realm is going crazy right now. There's so much that we can do and so much innovation. And, you just got to be on top of it.
So I want to discuss that because that's a fun route. Now that you brought it up, let's just go right down that rabbit hole. So when we first met, one of the things that you told me is you were talking about, and actually we met through a mutual customer, a good friend of mine and a friend of yours, and he was shopping builders. I knew what he was going to do. I knew what his plans were, and he calls me and says, "Hey, I met these guys. Have you ever heard of HAUS Custom Homes?" And I said, "I've heard the name, but I don't know any of them." Is literally what I said.
That was funny because like when he met us, this was really like when we just kind of jumped into our new process. This was like a month into the new process, and barely anybody had seen what it was and
Talk about timing.
And it was just like that was kind of our turning point, like our climax of the story. It was just like it's time to build.
Yeah.
And
So he's sitting there. I'm sitting with him, and he's telling me about this new builder. And he's very technically savvy, as you know, right? He's a tech
learning
guy,
every day,
right? I mean, that guy, he knows his stuff. And those types of things are very impressive to him. And I remember I'm sitting there with him, and he had talked to a couple other, I will not name their names, but a couple other builders that had bid out, big name builders in our area that had bid out a very large custom home for him. And the numbers kept coming back and they were just insane. But he was having such a hard time. He's like, "Yeah, but I don't really want that house or that house." Because it was they have this floor plan and they can build it and we can make these 3 adjustments and then it's going to be that, but then it's going to be this price.
I mean, it was a base plan.
That's what it was. It was it was a purchased floor plan, right? And it was, I remember him saying, "Here's a floor plan that I like here, but I also like this floor plan from this guy." And he was having trouble getting stuck in that, him and his wife both, in that middle spot of, well, crap, if we're going to do this, we want to do it right. And I remember when I'm sitting with him and he's like, "I met these guys," and the look on his face, he was like, "Dude, wait till you see what they are doing." And I went, "What? What do you mean what they're doing?" He said, "I just toured a house in virtual reality." Which I'd seen, you see clips of it every once in a blue moon on the internet, and you're like, "Well, that seems kind of neat." And he goes, "No, I literally put like an Oculus style glasses on, had hand controllers," and he said, "And I walked through a floor plan where I could reach out, see distance, see color, see fit, see finish, see light fixtures, look up, look down, look all around, walk around outside, see what it looks like from the back, not just the front." Because a lot of people, as you know, design the front elevation and not the side or the back. That's like an afterthought, right? And so he's telling me about this process, and hearing him just get so freaking excited. He goes, "This is who I want to do it with, Kevin." Stu, he calls me Stu. He goes, "Stu, this is who I want to do it with." He goes, "And you have got to get to know these guys." He said, "Because they are next level." He goes, he literally said, I believe the words were similar to, "They are the next evolution of construction. They are where construction is going. They're just ahead of the curve." So tell us about that, because that is something that anybody out there watching, and if you're watching this, you need to pay attention to this part, because what they're doing in this world, every builder is going to find a way to adapt it, right? Like, we know that it's coming, but you guys are already doing it. It's very new technology, but holy crap, I believe this is where it is going to go over the next 5 years. But you guys are there, so tell us about
it. It makes no sense that it would go anywhere else. I mean, VR is nothing new. I mean, automotive's been doing it for 15 years. I mean, car designers could sit in the driver's seat of a car and look at blind spots and see how, the A-pillar is going to interact with views and, how the cluster looks. I mean, this is not a new technology, but it's something that has just never been adapted into architecture. And to be honest, I never really thought of it. And I think there's, maybe one other company doing it for multifamily out on the West Coast, but it's still kind of an adaptation. They can pop you into a room and you can kind of look around a little bit and then they can move you to the next one. But what we wanted to kind of bring in was that full like immersion. So picture like walking around in a video game, but instead of using a controller, you're using your feet. So we can place you at the front door, and if the room's big enough, you can physically walk through the space just like you would, a real home. And everything's to scale. It's 1-to-1, all real colors. And I mean, it's not It's not perfect.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
But I mean, it's computer generated and it's very, very accurate. And what that really does for us is it gives us not only a visual for the client, but for our trades. So that's something that, I mean, bids, there's no excuses for things to overrun anymore. You know, the trim carpenter can look at it and say, oh yeah, you want to panel this wall, you want these cabinets, this hardware. The plumber can look and say, okay, yeah, 3 body sprays, rain head, perfect. You know, everything is on their quotes.
And that
we
right
have
there
accountability.
is the control factor of this. So that's the piece that I don't think people realize. The biggest complaint that we get, and when I'm speaking with people, my sales pitch always has been on new construction. If you want it, we can build it.
But it's
right?
still hard.
You can put a beer can on the moon with NASA's budget, right? Like we can do anything. But understand when you get into construction, you're going to get a price. There's the price that you're quoted, and then there's the price that you finish at. And usually they are a Grand Canyon away from each other. That's been the consumer experience for 20, 30 years in construction.
The problem with
you
that
guys
Grand
are
Canyon
solving
is
that.
you find it in the middle of the build.
Yeah.
So back to trim again. Originally, the way that you find this out is you'd start doing your trim walkthrough in the middle of the build. I mean, things would be drywalled and you'd walk around with your trimmer and he'd do some pencil sketches on the wall. And that's kind of how you would sign off. And I mean, granted, there's always been, you know, higher end designers and, you know, for your $7-8 million house, it's standard. They're going to do elevations for all this stuff. So there is stuff to bid off of. But still, not everybody knows how to read a blueprint. You know, so many people that we come across come in and they're like, I have no idea what this means. And before the answer was like, well, here's a roll of painter's tape. Like, let's go out in the parking lot and tape out the size of your master bedroom. And it's just wild.
That's an inefficient way to do it. And the amount of people that I'm sure you've experienced and I have as well that cannot conceptually design a house. Because most of our brains don't work that way, right?
Yeah,
Everybody
the-
says the biggest question I get when someone rings and we pick up the phone and they're, you know, they call about new construction. Because I've represented and I've worked with builders quite a bit over my career. And they're always, the first question I get, do you guys have a model we can walk through? First question. Why?
Right.
Because humans by nature want to see it. They want to stand in it. They want to experience. They want to touch and feel and see the fixtures and the fit and the finish. Because it's all about the pretty, right? When it comes
People
down
want to
to
see
it,
candy.
They want to see the candy, right? You know, and they're not worried about, you know, and they do. They're, you know, it gets into the conversation of I want this house to be built properly and well and
Right.
build it like a tank, like make sure that the systems are efficient. All that stuff matters. But really, when they first are on the front end, they're talking about pretty,
Of course.
right? And that's what's bringing them in because they're picturing and viewing their family out by the pool and, you know, in the outdoor covered space and what it looks like in the great room and the space between the great room and the dining space and the kitchen and what it looks like if they have 15 people over for dinner and they're around the center island. Like, that's all they're thinking about. But when that's on a sheet of paper and it's looking, you're like, oh, I think that's going to be big enough.
I know guys in the
maybe.
industry that still don't see it.
Yeah.
It's not easy,
That's the
especially when you really get into the complexities and the sections and the ceiling profiles. Like, you don't get a sense of scale from a blueprint. I mean, unless you've really been in the industry and you've trained yourself to know, like, hey, this is what 10 foot is, this is what a 12-foot ceiling looks like, and you know just by doing it a bunch of times. But your average client, you know, maybe this is their second or third time at most. Most people don't build that often.
Yeah.
You know, it's every 15, 20 years maybe. And look, what changes in 15, 20 years? I mean, how we did this 20 years ago is
Everything changes in 15 to 20 years.
plus the prices.
Right.
So it's just so hard to go through that old school process. But now having everything at our fingertips and really being able to put people in this process physically, there's no misunderstanding anymore.
So someone comes into your office. You know, we do a consultation. We sit down with a customer and they're talking about building a property, right? We say, okay, we're going to build it on land. We understand let's say we've already purchased them the land. They already own that. And they come into your office and we go through that beginning phase. What's your first couple of steps with them, like conceptual design meaning wise? And then I want to get into a little more of the virtual reality, but how do you start that conversation with somebody who comes in and says, I want to build my dream house and I'm not even sure what it looks like yet. Can you help me design my dream home?
Yeah, I mean, everybody comes in a little different. We've had opposite ends of the spectrum. Some people will come in with a binder or Pinterest boards and Instagram folders and everything. I mean, thousands of pictures.
I
It's
want
awesome.
this.
And we've also had people that come in with like nothing. They're just like, I want a custom home and I want you to make it badass.
Yeah, and this is my
And
budget.
like, that's just, I mean, it's fun, but sometimes that's just as hard as having a million pictures.
Maybe
So
more.
I think always like the first meeting is kind of a get to know each other meeting. You know, we want to get people in, get a sense of who they are, talk about lifestyle, not so much about the house. I want to know who you are as an individual.
Love that.
How do you use your home? You know, do you have hobbies? Are you into wine? You know, are you a gun guy? Are you a big golfer? Do you want a simulator? You know, all of these things are asked in that first meeting, and it's through kind of a questionnaire. That's, 20, 30 questions, and some of them are very simple and some of them are long-winded answers. And that meeting's a couple hours, but at the end of it, it's a conversation just like this.
Yeah.
And we just want to get to know you, and then the second meeting, we start to throw you in, to our process a little bit. Put the VR headset on you, walk through a few things.
Yeah, here's a couple different houses that we've done in the
Yeah,
past.
this is some stuff we've done in the past.
Yes.
This is some things that are coming in the future. We can kind of talk about massing and scale and, what you want your home to be and what you don't want your home to be. And then from there, it's just head first into it.
And you showed me once a really cool way in which you virtually through Matterport and through the systems that you have of starting with a white box, which seems really strange, but you're trying to take their eye line off of the cool light fixture.
So we call it our that wall walkthrough.
Okay, yeah.
And what that really is like we don't want people to trip over colors and fixtures and all that. So we strip it down. It's very basic furniture, very basic cabinetry. We really don't go into detail, but we want people to walk through and get a sense of scale. Do I want a curved arch? Do I want, a squared off opening? Do we want doors? Do we want casing? Do we really want that 2-story volume great room? Or do we want to kind of pull that back down a little bit to human scale? Like people can walk through and, you get a sense of what this home will actually feel like to walk through.
And what's the depth of if I'm standing at the stove and I turn around, how far am I from the center island? Right. And when I'm at that island and someone's on the other side, how far am I from them?
And
right.
You're getting the coolest part of this though is we could be drawing with you in the model. So that
guys, he's showing this just so you know, like you can be in the middle of a house. You're sitting there in the middle of a house that you're walking through, and you're like, well, but what if the backsplash looked different, or this wall was just a little bit over? And they go 1 second, and then boop, it moves. How do you feel about it now? That is so stinking cool. It's unbelievable.
Weeks. I mean, you're a traditional architect. You go in, you do a plan markup, you kind of stumble through, take measures on the floor, that kind of thing. And, all right, we'll do the revisions. See you back in a couple weeks.
And we were talking,
and that's what it took because that's what we used to do.
Yeah, and when we were talking about speed, right? The length of time when people call and they ask me as the salesperson of, what is the length of time in this? I said, well, a lot of that's on you, right? Because you're going to have to make some decisions, and the speed of your decisions are going to be the biggest hang up.
It's kind of a green light, red light process.
Yeah.
So green light, we're designing, we're making things happen, we're getting plans together. Then it's sent over to you. We do a meeting, you review, red light. Mm-hmm. And in the past, red light was weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you'd have to go through and visualize and, maybe explain to your wife or your husband that things just, I don't get this. And
at that time, you're doing it on a sheet of paper.
It just took forever.
So
tough.
And it's amazing how many people I know that have built homes, and it's not that they got to the end and didn't like the product, but I feel almost everyone that I built a home with has a aspect or two that they went, wish we'd done this differently. I wish this was bigger, this was smaller, this was
we built
longer.
our last house. The day we moved in, it's I changed this, I changed this, I changed that.
Yeah.
But I'm obviously a psychopath builder. I would build a house every 2 years if I could, but eventually you have to settle down. You got to be happy with it.
Yeah.
And the right way to be happy with it is to be able to really walk that house before you put the shovel in the ground and you make that investment.
And what you guys are doing in that to make people understand and feel comfortable and understand the product that they are going to finish with is the game changer. And, you know, I'm not kidding. When I was walking through with the headset on the first time, I think somebody has it on camera. There's a B-roll video of this somewhere. It's actually kind of embarrassing. I'm not sure we should play it.
We should splice it.
We should splice it in for sure. I'm in the office, and you're trying to make sure that I don't run into a wall because I don't know they're there, and because I think I'm outside. And I go out onto the outside patio, which is a 2-story patio that goes down, and I got close to the edge. I felt like I was going to fall off a building. Full pit in my stomach. Full heights. I remember backing up. I was like, "Oh, I need to get down. Somebody help me get down. Please help me get down." I felt every bit of fear as though I was going to fall off the roof. And it's people, until they experience it, don't realize how accurate it is. I mean, it is really neat.
Scary at times.
It's scary at times because you can aim and go up, and all of a sudden you're standing on the roof.
I mean, you could literally jump on the roof of your house if that's what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, not that you'd ever get that vantage point in real life,
Yeah.
but I mean, for doing that, I mean, roof leaks.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get up there and look, is there a valley? Are we going to have proper drainage? Is this going to be a snowdrift issue? Like, the design side of it on our end,
It's got to be great for you
it's
guys
amazing.
too, right?
all the things that were just like inaccessible before visually are now here right in your face in 3D, and you're like, yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you,
And that's where
real kind
the
of time
architecture, the design, and the actual process of the construction now with you guys are all meeting together in one spot in one location.
Right.
And so it not only creates, a faster process, a cleaner and smoother process for the customer, a lot of cost savings for the consumer.
Big time.
The reality is every time you make a change architecturally, that gets very expensive very fast. So being able to do that all in one place, in one house, all in-house is a huge advantage for the consumer, on top of being able to physically experience the home before you're even done finalizing the numbers.
Right.
And then going through and picking your light fixtures. And you guys having, because I've watched it, you guys having the physical codes to that fixture, knowing that it's in stock and knowing exactly how much it costs. Right? That's what you guys are doing.
That's the back end of things. I mean, our team of designers, we've kind of hybridized building and interior design. Interior designer for most people is always inaccessible because it's like, I'm not going to spend $400 an hour on somebody to tell me what I like. And, some people need it, some people don't, but it's still a huge time commitment. And let's face it, we all lead busy lives. Kids and work and just, work-life balance, it just doesn't exist anymore. So being able to have that tailored experience where our designers will go out, we'll pick the materials, we'll bring them back to our office. You come in for our once a week meeting, look at everything, and then we put it in the model. So, and you're like, yeah, I like that at scale. I like this sample. And then from there, if we don't hit it right on the head, we go back, we do it again.
Yeah.
We could always bring you to the supply houses, but you don't have to go. Mm-hmm. So the time commitment to get that end result is cut in half.
That's so cool. I want to touch on this because it's something that we walked through a couple weeks ago now, which is you guys are designing your own new space. You guys are in the process in what, probably a month and a half?
Yeah, we're a month and a half, 2 months. We're
See, guys, even builders, they're delayed on their own stuff. So don't think it's just
I think our own time is delayed more than any of our clients has ever been, just because we do everything that we tell people not to do, like changing things the day before they're installed, ordering things that have insanely long lead times.
You're your own worst client.
Oh, we're horrible. And it's not just me. And I think I'm the worst one, but we're one of 3 partners, or I'm one of 3 partners, and we all have an opinion.
So as you're
the
designing,
designers too.
But now you're designing the space and you're doing something to take your business to the next level. You guys have leveled out. You've really focused in on the kind of client you want, who you're looking for as a customer, what you want to build, and where you want to go over the next 5 years. You decide that building out a office design center space for people to come walk into, to do all the things they need to do to build a custom home with you. Explain that to me and explain the process or thought process behind the office you did, because it is incredible. At least from what I'm seeing and what I believe it's going to look like when it's done. Holy cow, guys, I'm telling you, You need to get to know us before the grand opening party because you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be a banger. We are going to have a blast. Like, it's going to be so cool. And you're going to want to go to their office. Like, you built a space that people are going to want to show up.
We want an experience.
And see you.
And, I mean, really take everything that you know about an office and throw it out the window. And that's exactly what we did. You know, hospitality forward. Building is an industry that lacks that hospitality. It lacks empathy. And you need somebody to come in and feel like they're taken care of. And I think really that's our core principle. And the office needs to reflect that. So it's not like your typical office where you walk into, you know, a stuffy little receptionist room and, you know, take a seat on the doctor's office chairs and wait for somebody to call you back to the conference room, which is a big fishbowl.
Yeah, with the beige walls.
Nothing about it. Like, our offices are jammed into a corner, and, you know, we put, you know, the highlight, beautiful areas of the office on display. Like, we want you to walk in and, you know, when you walk through the doors, you're greeted by, like, a lounge. It's a full-scale bar. Sit down, have a coffee, you know, have a glass of wine. You know, sit down and relax a little bit and don't feel pressured. And then, you know, if you want to go and have a seat on the couch and we do the meeting from the TV in a living room kind of aesthetic, cool. You know, you have young kids, it's easier.
Yeah.
You know, if you want that more formalized conference room experience, you throw the plans on the table, you know, renderings on the TV, cool, we can do that too. But it's set up to where we can handle meetings in multiple different ways for every different walks of life.
And on top of that, you guys have utilized, because you guys use a lot of archways and curves. You're doing things in design from the architectural and design standpoint that I can tell you the state needs, because we have built the same stinking house over and over and over, especially in this price point. In custom homes, they all build the same stinking floor plan, right? And I can show these houses with like this, and I've never been in them, and I could walk around and be like, well, if you turn right here and then you go straight there, because they're just the same stinking thing, right? They're just kind of a rinse and repeat model. So where you guys are using curved archways, architectural, I think you'd said a lot of your inspiration stuff is coming out of like the Carolinas.
Yeah, North Carolina is one spot. Franklin, Tennessee, Scottsdale, Arizona. You know, a lot of like, you have to bring architecture from around the country back home. You know, even the Hamptons to an extent. You know, there's so many different styles out there, and I feel like, you know, our Tri-County area has just been locked into that brick box for a long, long time. And, you know, there's architects and builders that break the mold.
Oh, yeah.
There's just not enough.
And my phone is riddled with photos of homes. I'm that dude that I go on vacation and I'm on a golf course and I take a picture of 3 different houses on the golf course because I'll see a design feature that I'm like, ooh, one day that's going in my house. One day that's going, and I have an entire photo album of design features that I see because I'm that dork that takes that picture of some.
I landed at the airport by Zillow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm the same person. I'm on the golf course in some other state, and I'm like, I wonder what the real estate here costs. I'm like, oh, check that out. Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
Wow, these are way more expensive than I thought they were. Or holy cow, it's so cheap here. This is incredible. Like, so I'm that dude that's always doing that as well because, like you, we're house dorks.
Right.
I love research. It is. It's market research, and I love it. It gets me excited. I love viewing cool homes. And the ones that I walk into from a sales perspective, when I walk into a house that I've never seen and is a true, I can tell, true custom built, custom design, one of a kind, nobody else has this, I get so pumped up. I get so excited at the opportunity to sell that kind of home because for me, I get to tell a story. I get to create the challenges of talking people through it. And I get to show people the features and the ideas and the concepts that they've never seen before. So from a salesperson's perspective, stuff like that gets me like super juiced up. And that's one of the reasons I've enjoyed already working with you guys because you think so outside of the box in using design features that nobody else is thinking about right now. And like you said, there needs to be more of it in this state. It needs to be something that people, I believe, are going to turn to because we know construction's going to go up again. Right? We know it. Warren Buffett doesn't.
Never stop.
Really? Yeah, it doesn't. And Warren Buffett doesn't invest this kind of money into housing unless he believes that construction is going to go up, you know, with the moves that he made the past couple months. And so I believe that when inventory is low and we don't have enough homes to sell to customers, the consumer is going to turn to make their own inventory, the creation of inventory. And new construction never stops. We still in this area have a lot of land. It's going to keep going north, right? That's the next frontier.
Other than that, the teardowns and rebuilds.
Yeah, the teardowns and rebuilds are
more popular.
More and more popular, and saying I want this lot and location, but that house is not going to cut it. Let's redo or flatten that sucker and start over. And so, yeah, I think we're going to see and continue to see over the next 10 years an incredible amount of new construction in our area, I believe. And I'm seeing this is what you do for a living. You're betting on that game as well.
Right, of course, we're ready for it.
You're ready for it.
It's something that we've been pushing for quality new construction that actually still has character.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people want. And there's a big renaissance going on in architecture, and it's not just us in our process. I've seen a lot of our competition, a lot of guys out of state are really pushing the boundaries. And I think housing is going to go in a really cool direction.
It's going to go in a fun direction. It's going to be really, really enjoyable to sit back and, 5 years from now, me and you sitting down, having a beer, talking through what's happened over those years and go, it's been a fun run. Like, we have done some cool stuff together, and we've built and done, because now we'll have a whole repertoire of properties that we've gone through and that we've worked on. And those are some of the exciting future growth things that just get me juiced up again. They just get me excited to see. And I can't wait to have like some of the ones we're working on right now that we get to walk through. The customer we were just talking about a little bit ago. I can't wait to walk through the stuff that you guys are doing for them.
It's going to be awesome.
And it's going to be so fun to be a part of the process. And as I'm getting to know you more personally, but also getting to know your company, I get to be a part of that every step of the way and see from beginning to end exactly how that works. And, watching how you guys don't just talk about it, but how you are about it and how you be about it. And that's exciting. And I know that you guys are that's exactly who you are. That's why we've gravitated so well towards each other. We just naturally get along.
Sometimes you just meet people and it's just an instant, it just works. And you see the passion, and you got to surround yourself by people who are as passionate or more than what you are.
Yeah.
And you can do some really cool things.
And when you get the right people in the room, you get the right people with the right passions and the right skill set, right? Because it's still a skill set. But when those two things blend together, magic can happen.
And that's our whole premise behind team building, like passion first.
Mm-hmm.
Skill set can be built, it could be learned, it could be adopted. But if you don't have passion, and if you don't really want to get out there and work with people and be the best you can be and challenge each other, look, we butt heads all the time. Our team, our designers.
You're supposed to.
We have interns that turn our mindset upside down. It's just like, wow, like you're so young and you're just getting into the industry, but like they have so much to say and a different outlook and a different mindset. And they need to have that voice.
Mm-hmm.
And if you give your team a voice, there's nothing really you can't do. And you become so much better at what you do every day.
So what has it been like for you as you've started this company, working with partners and growing the company, knowing where you want to go and the types of people you're going to need to get there? From a strictly leadership standpoint, what is it that you focus on as now a leader of the company that you believe will help drive? What are some of the driving factors for you guys? And you touched on it a little bit just now, but what are some of the driving factors that you believe are going to take you through the next 5 to 10 years?
Just to chase that passion. Mm-hmm. Honestly, don't forget the roots. Stay humble. Be kind to people. Don't forget that hospitality is at the core of what we do every day, and you should treat people with respect always. I can't say that I do this all alone. I have my own struggles as a business owner, and we've had hurdles over our years in business. But it's always like see eye to eye with your partners, talk things out, and always have that common goal. And I guess that's where I really give my partners a lot of credit, is we're always on that same goal. Like it could be unspoken, but we know where we're going. And it's just sometimes finding that extra couple hours a week, which none of us have, to just sit down and just say, hey, this is the 1 week goal, the 1 month goal, the 1 year goal, and what do we got to do each week to make all this stuff happen?
Yeah, and challenging yourself to continue now harder to work on the business. Going back to the COVID pause,
right?
To not forget that, and say, that was a pivotal turning point for this company. How do we build in a strategic pause for ourselves to make sure that we're stepping back and saying, is this still going towards the goal that we have for this company? Are we still aligned?
Or do we need to pivot?
Or do we need to pivot? Do we need to, and I believe that great business owners and great companies find and build in regular time to step back and work on the business, because we all work in it every single day. But having that scheduled time with your partners to sit and say, guys, today we're just going to work on the business, or this weekend, or whether it's a retreat, or whether it's the builder show, whatever it is, it's going to things and saying, okay, we are going to step back and we're going to get strategic, and we're going to look at our mission and our vision and where we want to go and why we want to go there, and make sure that we're all still aligned on that forward-facing vision.
I mean, it's so easy to get tunnel vision and to get trapped in the day-to-day. And, kind of touching on the partnership earlier, I have the ability and the blessing to be able to be the big picture guy and to think about next year and trust that the guys in the office and my partners are going to be able to pick up that day-to-day and make things happen. So it's a blessing.
And they'll have partners that is their skill set, where they want to be. They then trust you to go out there and be the visionary. And that's super special. And that's why I know you guys are going to find huge success. You are going to be a household name in this area.
That's the goal.
Pun intended. That you guys are going to be that. Yeah, low hanging fruit. That one was simple. But you guys are absolutely going to be that next wave of recognizable construction. And people are going to see properties and see homes and go, ooh, that was them. I bet you that was HAUS. I bet you that was HAUS. And then they're going to see ones where they're going to go, man, I wonder if that was HAUS. Right? Because you guys are you're going to have the ability to do so many cool things. And I'm so excited that I get the opportunity to do it with you. And I love the fact that we've gotten to know each other and that we very quickly become good friends and had the opportunity now where we get to say, okay, let's have those strategic conversations. Let's have those thoughts. Let's go to the builder shows together, right? Let's do those things, not just because we're going to have fun, which we will have a lot of fun, but we get to have those strategic business conversations of, okay, guys, what next? What's the gap? What's the hole? Where can we find a way to go see something that someone else isn't?
Well, it empowers you as an agent as well. The more that you can get involved, and I think that's where a lot of agents fall short, is they just don't dive headfirst into the process. And look, selling new construction is not easy.
No, it's difficult.
It's our goal to empower our agents, of course. I mean, if you could sell for us and we can give you the process to do that, I mean, it only helps us.
Well, so most agents in my industry just want to put their name next to your company so they can collect commissions on houses that you build. I hate to say it, but it's just it's the reality.
It's a lot of it.
It's the reality. To where a proper, builder broker relationship is, we're in business together. We thrive when you thrive. You thrive when we thrive, right? And so we get to do those things together and push each other forward and challenge each other with ideas.
Comes back to passion.
With opportunities and passion, to where now we know we have each other's back, right? And you know that my company has your back because you see us constantly wanting to learn, understand, and be impactful alongside of you, not just be someone who gives you a update call every other week.
Right.
Because that's not what we ever want to be either.
I mean, it needs to be part of the team.
Yeah.
Design, landscaping, building, interiors, drapery, everything. It's a culmination of, many different hands and many different teams and companies all coming together as one. And that all kicks off with real estate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without that, nobody else does their work.
Yeah.
Simply put.
Yep. Well, thank you again. I'm super glad that we got to do this episode today. We're definitely going to do another one. It goes without saying we're going to do this again. And I want to do regular updates with you guys. I mean, it could be really cool. I think a neat idea would be when we get the new office open, what if we broadcast an episode inside? Maybe we show the people out there some of the things that you're doing and utilize this conversation to extend it further so that we can show, not just talk about it, but be about it. Let's get people involved in it, because that's something I'd like to do, and I think it'd be super fun for us to continue this conversation. So thank you so much for coming on today. This has been awesome, super informative. Guys, I hope if you had a chance to watch this that you've enjoyed yourself, that you've learned some things. And as always, if you have questions about this, give us a call, right? We want to get in touch with you. We want to have a conversation. Come see the space. Come meet in our office. If you want to have those conversations, we're there. But the thing I also hope that you took away from this is that you see the passion, and see the drive, and see the willingness to go out there and do something different, and go out there and follow something that you know inside you were built for, because you were built for this. And so I hope if you guys are watching this today that that's something that you see, and that you go out there and be the best person that you were meant to be, because the world needs you. Have a good day, guys. Bye.